The first thing I think we all have to recognize, and I do think the SEC recognizes as well, is that we are the best equity markets in the world. And our equity markets are a product of incredible competition. And that competition has been created by the SEC itself. So the SEC framework that we operate under results in tremendous competition. You know that we compete for every listing, but we also compete for every order that comes into our market. We have about 20% market share in the trading of U.S. stocks today, and we compete with 3 other exchange groups as well as 30 other broker-dealers for that order flow. And on the back of that, we innovate, and we do a lot to make sure our systems are resilient and as strong as they possibly can be. And we create a lot of value on the back of that. And therefore, we charge for that value through our market data, our connectivity, and our trading fees.
If you made this case to the Republicans at the SEC, their argument is that the case hasn't been made that you do these things. If you just gave that same answer to them, do you think they would have voted differently?
Well, I think that we have to recognize that the SEC is comprised of 5 commissioners, and including both Democrats and Republicans.
Yes.
And most of them are new. And so this debate we're having down in Washington right now allows those new commissioners to get a better understanding of how the markets work and making sure that they understand the facts that generate the facts behind these arguments.
Well, I said it sounded like price controls to the commissioner, and he said it's not price controls, it's competition controls where there is no competition, and it's monopolistic practices that they're addressing here.
Well, last time I checked, 20% market share does not constitute a monopoly. I think they also recognize
that but for
NASDAQ or for any of the other exchanges. And I think that as a
there
result,
are 15 different exchanges owned. 12 of them are owned by 3 different groups.
Right. So we have 4 exchange groups that compete with each other and 40 other dark pools that compete for the same order flow. Those 4. The only reason we have 3 exchanges is because the SEC does not allow us to segment customers. They don't allow us to have different types of market models within one exchange. So we are actually obligated, in order to give our customers choice, we have to launch different exchanges to create different market models. That's the only way the SEC allows us to offer choice to our clients.
Adena, one thing I kind of look at this. Look, you want to call it a monopoly, you want to call it whatever it is, and I pointed this out to the commissioner. Is this a situation where I asked him, are you pushing for there to not be allowed to be charged for different data streams? Should all investors have the same access? Should you not be allowed to pay a higher price and get better information?
Yeah, so the first thing I would say is information is available to every single investor who wants to invest in our market. The average investor today pays nothing for market data. And when you then look at the retail brokers that serve them, they pay on average 17 cents per customer per month for the core data that they offer their customers. And then you say, well, gosh, but they also take data from us. And that is true. And we could add maybe another 3 to 5 cents per month per client for that. It's an incredibly cheap amount of data. And that's offering all of the same information and the same access that the professional investors have.
So what are professional investors willing to pay more for?
So recognize professional investors represent millions of investors themselves, right? So they're there to represent millions of retail investors. So we do pay them a little bit more. But if you look at the top 5,
a little bit more,
right? So the top 5 banks generated $25 billion in equity trading revenue so far this year. The revenue that we generated from those banks for data and connectivity constituted less than 0.5% of that revenue.
I guess my point is,
very, very affordable.
The SEC is